Mike, welcome to the call, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the call. I'm so glad you guys are here. Tonight, we're going to be talking about who's Timothy Beachman. Last week, we talked about who is Kenny Plaster. And one of the things that we talked about with Kenny Plaster, or regarding Kenny Plaster, is the fact, I think we identified what is a professional student. And a professional student is somebody that has done little to nothing. Okay. They're like a first year law student. They just got there and they read through the books real quick and they're just running all over campus and they're telling everybody everything and haven't even got to their first period yet. That is a professional student. Okay. And you know what? Before I get too deep, may Yahweh bless those people, because, it takes courage to stand up. It takes courage to say, hey man, I'm going to take a step out of the fold. So Yahweh bless you for that. And I have to tell you all that. So don't think for a minute that I'm not on your side. I'm all about your side. I'm all about our Constitution. I'm all about our rights. I'm all about these guys and our public officials need to play like they're supposed to. Awesome. Thank you, Brian. I'm all about that stuff. Okay. And I want people to get there. But you know what? I'm going to tell you, out of 2015, when those of us actually got that travel paperwork that Kenny Plaster is saying that, he's got, but he didn't really get it because that was like back in 2015. And if his 19-year-old daughter got it, would that be 7 years ago? She wouldn't be old enough to even drive. So we know that's not even true. So what I'm telling you about these professional students is you need to watch out for is these people like to steal people's credit. These people like to take other people's goods and other people's successes and say, oh, State Nationals rock. No, they don't. Not based on that. You might do it on the weekends with a little woofer in a car or something, but I don't see that happening. And here's why. Kenny Plaster will tell you himself that if you want to get your passport corrected, get your status corrected, you got to do all this 1, 2, 3. I think I watched this little video today about that. And he tells you got to do all this 1, 2, 3 and send affidavits to people and do all this stuff. But look, guys, here's mine right here. Facebook. See that? Mine's 4-star. Those of you guys out and up here, I'm going to show you mine too. It's 4-star. And you know what I did? I followed Copper Moonshine Stills, that guy. Okay. And he doesn't say anything about State Nationals rock. You won't hear that dude say nothing about that. Matter of fact, he'll tell you, don't call me at home. Don't call me at all. Just follow the thing. And he's very knowledgeable and he knows what he's doing. But then you get a state national or a poser like Kenny Plaster, and he decides to step in there and says, this is what you do because he's a state national too. No, he's not. And no, he's not. I'm not either. And you know what? I followed his steps. I didn't send any of those affidavits off and mailed any of those affidavits anywhere. I showed up with the paperwork. I filled out my document properly, right? Lisa didn't have to go send affidavit. Lisa's saying the same thing. Lisa didn't have to go do all that hocus pocus 1, 2, 3 State Nationals rock. We didn't have to do any of that. Look, it's right here. So this is what I'm talking about. You get these people and they're almost like Pharisees, okay? And they're dangerous. Here's why they're so dangerous. Because somebody's going to follow their little nonsense. And at some point, that rabbit hole is going to be far too deep. And guess what? Since Kenny Plaster just started doing this like 6 months ago, he has no experience as to what's going to happen to you when the IRS sends you a letter. Did he got any answers for that? You know why? Because he hasn't been that far yet. This guy talks about, and then you get him, he's kind of even starting to talk about, and I don't want to get too far into this guy, but he's starting to even talk about, I'm getting this changed over so we can share the screen here. I'm going to go through Timothy Beachman's paperwork real quick. I'm just not even going to go to there. But anyway, these professional students are very dangerous, and you guys need to watch out for them. Those of you guys in Facebook land, if you go to my page, you're going to see that I have this little doohicker up here. And we're going to go through this video real quick. Those of you guys, you're not going to be able to see it anyway. I'm just going to tell you what's going on. Okay. All right,
everyone. So I'm going to do step by step on how to get yourself free.
Okay. Get yourself free from what? Is he in jail? How do we know? He just says free. Like, do you want to get some? I don't know. We could just really go nuts with that. You know that, right? So we're not going to. All right.
First, here you have an affidavit of status. This says who you are. It claims your property and says you can travel.
All right. Let's stop for just a minute. Here's a major flaw in this paperwork right here. And I'm only seeing one of page 3. Okay. He says he's got an affidavit of status. Well, in order for an affidavit to be, to have cohesion, for it to matter, to be prima facie, how's that? In order for it to be that, your affidavit has to be made out to somebody. In other words, you're using what they're trying to do here, but they don't really know what they're doing because they're morons, is they're trying to simulate an equity process, okay? And it's called mailbox, okay? They could be using this. Oh, wait a minute. No, they're not using that because they're not mailing any of this stuff to anybody. It sits in their glove box. Okay, number 1 rule when you're making out an affidavit, if you want cohesion, you need to have a recipient. So that means in this particular case, if you want to do this, which I don't recommend because this is retarded, but let's just say for giggles that the rest of this stuff is on point and everything's correct, okay? So number 1, you need to have a recipient and you need to make presentment, okay? If you don't have a recipient and if you don't make presentment, you know that song by Kansas called Dust in the Wind? That's your song. That is your song. All we are is dust in the wind. And you, your paperwork, the car, all going to get impounded. You're going to lose it all. If you don't believe me, ask Kayla Fitz. Ask Colby Fitz. These guys listened and had the same paperwork, okay? And they lost everything. You know, Kenny Plaster threw some stupid comment on there that said that, I know somebody that David helped. Well, you know what? I know for a fact because I talked to her. I was on the phone while she was in jail. And this man said he was going to come down there with his wife and they were going to fix this custody thing like magic, you know, because he's just so magical, right? And guess what? They didn't fix nothing. They didn't show up. This is the problem that you have with these fake teachers, okay? When the pedal hits the metal, these guys hit the street. You know why? Because they're looking for somebody else that they can go play with. They know that's what they're looking for. They're looking for another victim, okay? And we're gonna go through more of this, okay? So I want to first show you that this affidavit of status, because it doesn't have a recipient, this notice to agent and notice to principal and notice to principal is notice to agent means nothing. You know why? Because there's no principal or agent mentioned. Now, there is a way to do this. There is some verbiage you can put in there, but you know what? I'm not telling you because the rest of this is crap. That's why. So let's go through the rest of this.
Freely without being hindered. All right, so this next one is affidavit of truth and assertory oath. Up in this little corner says by. I cut off my name there so you don't see my location. But this is to show that you revoke your citizenship and you can send it to the president or the secretary of state.
Whoa. Revoking your citizenship. All right, let's talk about what revoking your citizenship means, okay? So now these cuckoo birds have completely flown out of the barn. They've left the barn and the cows and Farmer Joe and everybody behind. And now we got this, we got this, we're going to pull our United States citizenship. Guess what happens if you're successful in this process? You can't use your Social Security account anymore. Your straw man is DEAD. He's dead. And guess what you are? SCREWED. Because you can't do nothing. You're going to have to go couch surf. You'll never be able to own property. Oh, yeah, as a foreign national. How are you going to be a foreign national when you live here? Well, because you know what? You guys need to stop having court in your living rooms Open up law books and realize what these idiots are setting you up for. Look, Anna Von Wright is a moron. We're going to listen to the rest of this too. And he sent this stuff registered mail and to the Secretary of State of the United States. Now, if you want to revoke your citizenship, you do that through the you do that through the Social Security Administration. Yeah, and then when you do that, then you're SCREWED. You are a man without a country. Yeah. You ever seen that? There was that guy that was a while back, and he got stuck in a, and I'm sure you guys have seen the stories on it. It's on TLC. It's like on those days when you have nothing else to do and you're watching something and it's just happened to be on. It's one of those kind of shows. But anyway, they showed a guy that ended up living in an airport for like 15 years or something. Died there because he was a man without a country. You know why? This kind of stupid stuff happened. Yeah. So can I tell you that there is an agenda to divide the citizens and the sovereignty of the United States? Do you understand that? There is a political agenda where people will benefit if they can screw this place up more than they already have. This is doing it right here, man. This is the kind of stuff that's going to get people on a list. Okay? But anyway, let's keep going. And I just want to tell you that when you leave this country and you look into this kind of language, affidavit of truth and accessory oath and repudiation and revocation of citizenship, you do this kind of stuff when you leave this country and you go get citizenship in another country. So when you do this stuff and you're not hooked up somewhere else, SCREWED. Yeah. And I'm talking about like Black & Decker, buddy. Big time. Don't believe me? I personally know a lady that did this. Hey, the good news is she can't be arrested anymore. Yep, right about that. But she can't do anything anymore. She can't do anything. She can't participate. How would you like to be able to have your cake and eat it too? Because you can. You don't have to do all this reckless stuff. But let's keep going because it gets better. Besides, I've got other stuff to talk about tonight.
Or Secretary of State of your state, or Attorney General of the United States, or Attorney General of the state that you're in. All right, so next we have here, this is Anna Von Wright's 928 paperwork. We have the acknowledgement, acceptance, and deed of recon.
All right, Anna Von wrong. Hold on.
And it's basically saying you're coming back.
Hold on. Okay, hold them up. Hold them up. I think I opened my mouth just a little too big. Now, number one, let's look at this document. Okay, so he's talking about an acceptance of deed and conveyance. What deed and what conveyance? Are you talking about your straw man? You gave him up and you left him out on the curb with that other paperwork. See, this is why sovereign citizens and people that follow this stuff, this is why people think they're stupid. Because people like me that actually understand what all this stuff really means. Tim Beachman, come on, buddy. Wake up. Come on, you can get this, man. It's simple pimple. Listen up. This deed of reconveyance, so you can fix it. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's what? Yeah, it's stateless and sea channel. Exactly right. So stop kicking yourself out of your own house and then expecting to come back and come get it because you can't. It doesn't work that way. Now, let's look at some simple stuff right here. This is what happens when you leave people alone. You know, the Bible says the man, there's a way that seems right unto man, but the end thereof is death. And if I could add to it without getting in trouble, I would say in stupidity and a bunch of other choice words. Because I'm looking at this document right here, and there's a jurat here. And no notary. It says Diane A. Light, copyright. Okay. So what they're trying to do here, and this is why, hey, Tim Beachman, I love you, dude. I really do. And I do. And I have all the compassion in the world for you because I myself was you. I'm telling you, well, I didn't go this far because I'm just not that stupid, respectfully. But it's because I know how to read and I understand contracts. So listen, and I'm not saying you don't know how to read. Yes, I am. You don't know how to read. Look, And you need to learn a little something about contracts and affidavits, okay? Anytime you have an affidavit, this Arizona assembly nonsense, that ain't going to cut it. You need a notary, okay? And it's asking for a notary. The reason that it's asking for a notary is to establish land, jurisdiction, and standing. So again, more hocus pocus paperwork. It's going to sit in the glove box of Tim Beacham's car as it gets towed away. Watch, it's going to happen. All right, let's go.
All right, so next we have here, this is Anna Von Wright's 928 paperwork. We have the acknowledgement, acceptance, and deed of reconveyance, basically saying you're coming back. We have certificate.
Okay, you can't reconvey a deed if there's no deed or promissory note. It doesn't work with people. You can't do that. We're not those kinds of slaves anymore.
Okay, to have a assumed name, all the names so that they're trademarked and they can't be used by anybody else.
Whoa, let's back this up. This was too good. We can't miss this.
All the names so that they're trademarked. We have certificate of assumed name, all the names so that they're trademarked and they can't be used by.
Okay, so that's a certificate of assumed name in a country that you don't live in because you kicked yourself out of because you repudiated your citizenship. Remember? Cuckoo bird. So why are you doing business here then? You see? You see the direction this paperwork is going? This is why you shouldn't be doing this. Oh, it gets better, you guys. You guys out there in Facebook land, he's about to show us his magic license plates. I can't wait to see those. Come on. And you know what? I'm going to flip the screen around so you can see those.
What else? Cancellation of all prior powers of attorney.
Okay. Cancellation of all prior powers of attorney. Again, who's going to see this? I'm looking at the paperwork here.
Okay, so that way.
I don't see it filed anywhere. I don't see it noticed to anybody. It doesn't address anybody in particular. All we are is dust in the wind. It's like a fart. Sorry. I'm about to get terrible. I shouldn't even say that. It's just terrible. But it is. It's like a bad foot smell in the air. There, I cleaned it up.
How many attorneys speaking on behalf of you that shouldn't be?
Attorneys, a judge can appoint an attorney tomorrow to speak on behalf of you if you've got a tube stuck up your behind and down your throat. Okay? It's just that simple. Simple.
And we have permanent claim of the life and estate of myself.
Wait a minute. How do you have an estate here if you closed all the doors? Again, goes back to the other paperwork. This is all in his glove box, remember? So you go back to this other paperwork that says he doesn't want to be here anymore. He doesn't want to be a U.S. citizen anymore. Yeah, doesn't even want to control the chattel paper. He just wants to and cut it loose. And now all of a sudden, he wants to take it back. Do you see why people think these people are cuckoo birds? And he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. And then this right here should actually absolutely be, well, being that it's not addressed to anybody.
This talks about my parents on there. And we also have here mandatory Foreign Sovereign Immunities Acts, which.
Yep, that only works if you live in a foreign country and you're doing business here. But he doesn't because he's Tim Beacham.
Actually gives me the power of being a foreigner. And we have active expatriation. This is done 3 times. This is just the type of capitalization of your name. And then there's 2 witnesses.
And now he's got 2 witnesses. So now he's talking about the capitalization of your name. I'm so tired. Wow. Okay, so let's sift all this paperwork out. Nah. Okay, so first, we decided to get rid of our citizenship. And that was dumb. The second thing is now we're trying to control our estate. Now we're saying we left the country, but we don't have an address. And now we're saying that we're a foreigner, but yet we're still here and we never left. And he wants control of his estate that he gave up because he said, I don't want any part of this. So all that stuff you paid for, all that chattel, all that stuff that backs up, I bet you this guy is one of those guys that went and got his certificate of live birth done. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? I know because I got one too. Probably went and got one of these, right? You guys know what's on the call. Y'all know what I'm talking about, Uber board. But anyway, probably got one of these. and endorsed it and sent it to the Treasury. So he doesn't even have this anymore. That means he's not the holder in due course of nothing. So he gives up nothing. He gets all of his stuff and he just distributes it all over the place and doesn't accomplish a thing.
Money's at the back. Next, we have here revocation of election to pay taxes.
Oh, listen to this.
First letter that came back to me. I have the second letter that came to me, and the third.
Hold on a second. We got the first letter and the second letter and the third letter. So now, thank you to Timothy Beachman for telling us and telling everybody what happens when you filed stupid stuff with the IRS. Let's go.
Letter that says that they're just sending this to Kansas because they don't know what to do. So,
hello, Timothy Beachman. They freaking work there. You don't think they don't know what to do? That means if they don't know what to do, that means somebody on your end doesn't know what they're doing. Come on, man. It's simple stuff. Guys, you can't be falling for this stuff. You just cannot. Hold on a second. Sorry. You can't be falling for this stuff. But when you see stuff like this coming, let me tell you what else is coming for Timothy Beachman. So when you file stupid stuff with the IRS and you try to jack them up for money and you send them in little circles like this, which is exactly what he's doing. Timothy Beachman, your next TikTok video, if you were an honest person, is going to say, oh, crap, I have a $5,000 frivolous filing fee that got assessed to me from the IRS. And guess what they're going to call you? Hot rod, foreigner, whatever you want to call yourself. State Nationals Rock. He's going to call you a taxpayer. Mm-hmm. And guess what you are? You're a taxpayer.
That's me saying I'm not paying my taxes. It's because it's voluntary. This next.
Hold on a second. Let's just stop right there. He is right. Okay. Paying your taxes is absolutely voluntary until you enter into an agreement where you do agree to do taxes. David Straight's not going to teach you that. What does that mean? That means if you started working for your boss 5 years ago and you woke up last week with Timothy Beachman in this stupid paperwork and you decided, you know what, man, we don't have to pay no more taxes anymore. Okay, it's volunteer. It's not paying no more taxes. Guess what, dude? You're in a contract to perform. That means you filled out an I-9 with your employer and you made an agreement with him to give him a Class 5 gift form at the end of every year to make sure that he gets all of his tax credits back for the money that he pays you, which means basically you're paying yourself to go to work. But that's your agreement, and that's the agreement you made. Oh. Where do these guys get this stuff? And you know why they get this stuff like this? Because they don't really understand where they're at and how they got there in the first place. But you know what? Tim Dameron's going to explain it to you. And oh boy, it's about to get real good now. Now we're going to be talking about the Form 56. Ready?
There's Form 56, and now you can see my little reflection there. But
you cannot name a fiduciary unless you are managing a trust. And they're not talking about the Sesquifu Trust. They're talking about a real trust. No, well, I'm not going to say the Sesquifu Trust is not a real trust, but Usufruct. Just use that. Look that up. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. Look up Usufruct. Okay, just look that up. And that's the relationship you have with your trust. Okay, it's a foundation. It's something for you to do more with. Okay, but it's very, very, very limited. Okay, and what you need to do is you need to put, just like you got to put batteries in your kids' toys, you got to do things to make this thing work like it's supposed to. And this right here is get your little butt thrown in jail. So when you start talking about Form 56s, that means that there is a trust. That means there is a fiduciary relationship somewhere. And it means that it's on paper. It means there's an agreement, like a commercial security agreement. It means there's something cohesive that is there. You cannot do this assume stuff because it doesn't work.
56 is literally just stating you are actually the fiduciary of your.
Okay, so anyway, no, this is not how this works. This is completely wrong. This is misinterpreting paperwork. And it says his authority for fiduciary relationship is based on Genesis 1:26 and 28 through 28, Genesis 2:7, and Job 32, 21, 22. And all of those would be great if you were following the Torah and that was part of what you're doing. Okay. So I want to tell you, this dude is just, he is all over the place, man. He is like a whole Monopoly board at one time. He needs no players. He's got all the bases covered. You're going to see this guy. He's, yeah, wow.
Legal fiction entity, and so you're not going to be paying those taxes. And there's a second page to it here as well as that information. I just covered up the area that has my
Okay, now he signed himself stating that he has a trust that he doesn't really have, and he names himself as an executor. That's fraud. That is straight up fraud. Anybody telling you to do this stuff without setting up an actual real trust, listen, you can set up a trust to manage your Sesquifu trust, okay? You can set up a trust to manage your real estate, okay, and your properties and things like that, okay? But you have to have the trust in place. And these, they're not getting it. And you know why? That's why the IRS didn't get it either, and they sent it back. But you can't tell this Fruit Loop anything because he's just rolling.
Information, so that way, just because it's private.
Exactly.
Next, correct your passport. Go to Copper Moonshine Stills, do that, and I'll show you exactly how to do that in depth. All right, here, this is my faith-based PMA.
That was really funny. He said to show his passport and this and that, but the passport he shows is not actually, well, there's two passports. You could get, let me see if I can find mine. I think it's in here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So there's two kinds of passports you can get. Okay. You can get the card, which is this little doohickey right here. Okay. In Texas, we call everything's a doohickey after 5 o'clock. I promise you. Anyway, you can get this guy right here, and it's going to show the 4 stars, right? Now, all he shows is this, and call Copper Moonshine and blah, blah. Well, you know what? This ain't going to tell you anything, because look, here, I have a 4-star. Okay. But this is no different. This book is no different than anybody else. And do you know why, ladies and gentlemen? David Straight doesn't know why. No, he don't know why. You know why he doesn't know why? Because he doesn't know anything. He's what I call a big fat professional student. He married up in the world. He married a smart woman with some money and some influence, and he's riding on her skirt tails. That's not a man. That's a coward. So I'm just going to tell you, that's not somebody that's doing stuff. He's not doing it right, man. He's just not. So I'm going to tell you that, even though mine, I'm going to show you what mine looks like. This is what I'm see. So I've done these processes. I've done them. Okay. Now he's talking about a PMA, Private Ministerial Association and Spiritual Ministry. That's a whole nother ballgame, man. That is has nothing to do with freeing you. This is you setting up. So, okay, let's follow the timeline for Timothy Beachman. Number one, I don't want to participate. I don't live here. I'm leaving. I'm canceling all my stuff. I'm gone. See you later. Well, wait a minute. But I'm a foreigner now, but I don't have a place to live. But I'm a foreigner, but I'm here. Makes no sense. Okay. And then we go through these other processes, and then you can see how this is like this big up and down. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense. Like you get into this PMA. It makes great sense if you're actually doing it. Because guess what? When you start parading around in fraud that you're a ministry, when you don't actually help people, you don't actually do anything for anybody, then you're a fraud. This is not getting anybody free. But let's just listen to the Timothy Beachman show for a little longer.
Shows my certification of execution of unincorporated Private Ministerial Association Spiritual Ministry, Articles of Association and Declaration of Charter/Bylaws. My company is Jubilee. I realize there's a couple other companies out there, but those are public companies. I am a private company, so that's the difference.
Whoa. So he thinks, so he can, so let's go back to his paperwork. His paperwork says, these guys are such idiots. His paperwork previously said that he was going to discount all power of his attorneys and that he owns his name no matter what's been placed previously. Too bad, so sad. We're on our way just because I said so and it's in my glove box, right? Now he's decided to take on somebody else's name, and because he's private, he can just use their name too. Well, it gets better. Those of you guys here, I'm going to show you guys what his little license plate looked like. This is my favorite part. All right, here we go. I hope you guys can see that. Anyway, this is his little license plate, still wrapped in plastic, by the way. All right, so let's listen to this.
Of course, last but not least, you want to make sure that you have the proper plate that's on your vehicle.
Well, of course.
And that's it. So it's step by step to get yourself free.
Yeah, well, that's a step-by-step way to get yourself thrown in jail. And I'm gonna just discourage everybody. Let me unshare this real quick. Hope everybody can see. Stop sharing. All right. There we go. All right. So, guys, I gotta tell you, man, you need to be careful. Okay, you need to be careful what you're doing. Charleston, welcome to the call. Laredo, Texas, welcome to the call. And I just want to acknowledge you guys. You guys need to be careful. There's a lot of people out there, and they're saying they got these gold and these nuggets. Well, let me show you my plates, okay? Here's one of them, and look how this one's discolored. Those of you guys that are out there, you guys can see my plates. These were on my car for 2.5 years. You guys can go through my Facebook page. Look, DOT numbers, foreign national. I did it right. And here's what I'm here to tell you. This man's not doing it right. And that's why his little private plates ain't on his car yet. And I'll tell you one of the reasons is he's going to fail miserably is because your vehicle, as he said, is titled most likely as a motor vehicle. So you need to fix that. Because once you change the designation, guess what makes a trailer a trailer? A title, and a VIN, and a designation. Other than that, without those things, it is nothing more legally than an accessory. You know, like a handicap chair or something. No kidding. I promise you. That's good, and it's tested too. I've lived that. So, and I'm going to tell you, I've done it personally. These guys like Kenny Plaster, these people that really don't have any experience, what are they going to do when somebody takes your car? You know, Kenny Plaster likes to say that he's going after judges now and things like that. He ain't going after nobody. Matter of fact, he's had judges go after him, and you'll admit it. He'll admit it. He'll tell you, you just shut up because of it. So I'm telling you all, be careful. Be careful who you're listening to. Tonight, we're not going to devote the entire call to that, of course, because Tim Beachman, you're just not that important, homie. Sorry. Tonight, we're going to be also going through this police liability and risk management book. Those of you guys that are new to the call, we've been going through this book for quite some time, actually a couple of weeks now. And this is actually a textbook, okay? So those of you guys that have seen my TikTok videos and say, we're coming for you and this and this and this. The reason why is because this is their book. This is their book that they study to protect themselves from lawsuits from us. Now, why would they need to do a thing like that? Well, I'm going to tell you. One of the reasons is when you have a confrontation with a police officer, the first thing they are is nervous. Don't put your hand in your pocket. They treat you like you might have an atomic bomb in there. Well, prospectively, if you broke into somebody's living room and you were trying to keep it looking good when you knew you were actually doing something wrong, you might get a little defensive and narcissistic like that too. Popular defense mechanism. And that's what they do. And that's what they're trained to do. So don't be afraid to ever check their programming. I'm very good at that myself. Tonight, we're going to be talking about consent. I know everybody talks about consent. I get it. But tonight, I'm going to talk to you about what the book says about consent. In other words, these people that you're talking to, one of the things that Timothy Beachman is really failing in his process is that he doesn't have an audience. He has not located his audience to give notice about anything to anybody. He's just over there paying Annabon right. And she's Annabon wrong. I'm going to tell you that now. Anyway, consent. Silence and indication may imply consent to a defendant's acts if the circumstances are such that a reasonable person would speak if he objected. Let's go through that again. Silence, consent, silence, and these are called defenses and privileges, by the way. I'm going through the book here. So I know I said that. Anyway, silence and indication may imply consent to a defendant's acts. Now, well, hold on a second. Now we're just talking about defendants, right? That means people that would be on the defensive too. That doesn't just mean the people, okay? That means the person doing the wrong thing. That's who a defendant is, okay? A defendant is somebody who's doing something they're not supposed to be doing. That's why you'll hear me with Houston County on court during the court deal when I tell them, hey, I'm not a defendant in this case. And I'm not, because I haven't done anything wrong. So anyway, it says consent to a defendant and acts if the circumstances are such that a reasonable person would speak if he objected. And that's O'Brien versus Kennard, SS. It's an 1891 case, pretty old case. So what does that mean? That means that if you guys are talking to these public officials, okay, and you're filing things with them, like requests for the laws and stuff that you use to come up with this decision that you made, and they don't want to give them to you, they just became a defendant. You know why? Because when they don't respond, they're in a position to defend their actions. So therefore, they become a defendant or a tortfeasor, rather. So they could be inflicting an intentional tort. They absolutely are. And it actually goes in later on in here, and it says an injury inflicted by one player upon another during a professional football game may give a rise to a liability where there is a cause for injury that was an intentional blow. If the defendant's actions exceed the consent given and he does a substantially different act than what he was authorized to do, he is liable. That's Morris versus Williams. I'm sorry, that's Mohr, M-O-H-R versus Williams, Minnesota Supreme Court, 1905. Really old cases. And what happens is these really old cases like this, when you're reading them out of this book, I know it seems like it's not, they become canon. That's right. That means that they have, it's peanut butter and jelly. It is what it is. There is no privilege of consent when the plaintiff has consented under a mistaken belief created by the defendant's deceit. Let's read that again. There is no privilege of consent when a plaintiff has consented under a mistaken belief created by the defendant's deceit. That means if the cop, which is becoming a defendant because he's defending himself, decides to further deceive you, then we've got a place to go with this, right? If you're talking about a claim. And an assault may be perpetrated by the incident of consent through misrepresentation. So in other words, if you were talking to your brother, well, let's go to you guys remember the Dukes of Hazzard movie, right? And they said, all right, you got the phone book. You want the phone book or you want this, right? So what did he do? He gave him consent, right? And then what did he give him? He gave it to him both ways. So the second whack was not acceptable. Same thing goes here. When you don't answer these people, when these people are trying to contract with you and you decide to have court in your living room with Anna Von Wright and just make up your own stuff and send it to her and say, here, you figure it out, then you're going to start getting those letters from the IRS, from the court saying, we don't know what to do with this. And then what also starts to happen after that is they can, in your local courthouses, they can ding you and find you as being a vexatious filer. And that means you don't get to file stuff anymore. That means you've abused your privilege. Yeah. So you need to make sure that these things connect. You need to make sure when you're fighting with these people, and I recommend everybody get a copy of this book. Put it in the front seat of your car. Okay? Especially if you have Anna Von Wright's paperwork. So while you're sitting in jail, you'll have something to read and you'll learn something. It's simple. So Let me tell you some other stuff that they also talk about in here about officers. Okay. Officers don't really have a specific duty to protect you. They have a duty to protect the general masses. Okay. Well, what does that mean? Makes you feel kind of low, maybe even a little bit betrayed, right? No. Mm-mm-mm. That's power, guys. Because if that's the case, then you could tell him to go kick rocks. Hey, man, you're not here to represent me. It's in this book. And there's case law on that. It says that you're not here to represent me. And you're not here to specifically handle stuff. You know, when they say, are you doing okay? I'm just here to check on you. You know what? That's not your responsibility. And I got Supreme Court case law, and it's in your stupid book, and it shows why. David Straight's not going to tell you that. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. This book, powerful. Consent. Let's talk a little bit more about consent. When you have a duty or when you should answer, okay? When public officials don't answer, that is a tort within their office, because that means that that office is not discharging as they're supposed to. They're not discharging all of the services to the public as they're supposed to when that kind of thing happens. Those of you guys that are having a hard time getting your paperwork filed in your courthouse, for the love of Yahweh, please look at what you're filing. If you've got affidavits, they need to be made out to somebody. Okay? For example, Tim Dameron's affidavits. So, sorry about that. Give me a second. So let's talk about this one right here. Here's one of my documents that's filed with public. I'm gonna take it out of my little book here so you guys can, so we can look at it together, everybody. Now, here's an affidavit of status, affidavit of reservation of rights. And here's what it says up here at the top, everybody. This is a public communication to all. So those of you that are having a hard time getting your stuff filed on the land record, it's because it doesn't say who it's directed to. So when you're not identifying the public as the recipient, then you can start doing notice to principal as notice to agent, notice to agent as notice to principal. Okay? But until you have a party that's named Timothy Beachman, you just dust in the wind, homie. I mean, it's good practice, though. I bet your printer got a hell of a workout. But, and this is an example of some of the paperwork. If you guys decide you want to take my travel class, there's some things that would change. Let's talk about some other things here. Remember I said earlier, I said if you have, I hope you guys can hear me, I'm trying to speak up. If you have these forms, you need to have an EIN set up for your trust. And I'm going to show you what mine says right here. I'm going to cover up my EIN because you don't need to see that. It's private. You'll see right there. Timothy Emmett Dameron, all upper caps. Timothy Dameron, TTE. Well, for those of you guys that don't know what that means, that's bank talk for trustee. Not the executor. The worst thing you can ever do is name yourself as an executor to your own trust, because right then and there you create a conflict of interest. Sorry, Tim Beachman. So if I were you, I would get you $9.95 back from Anna Von Wright, or 25 cents, or whatever you paid for her for that garbage. And you know what? Read it. It's some good stuff. There's some good law in there. I'm not going to tell you that there isn't some good law. I did read through some of the paperwork, and there's some pretty good law in there. But here's the deal. You can have the right law and have the wrong procedure very easily. And I'm here to tell you, you have the wrong procedure. You're not giving notice to anybody. You're not accomplishing anything. And what you're doing is you're putting yourself into a bucket. Look, if you want to learn anything, okay, I don't care what it is, Better your relationship with Yahweh. You need it. You need to be able to weigh what's truth and fiction. Otherwise, people are just going to keep lying to you, man. They're going to keep telling you things that aren't true. They're going to tell you the things that tickle your ear and not the things that are going to satisfy the hunger that you have inside. I did have a class scheduled for August. It's canceled. We're not doing any classes in August. We're not doing any classes in September too. Probably not going to do any classes until October, November. And here's why. I want to continue to create and to earn my credibility with the public. I want you guys to see that these people, these are flash in the pan switch hitters that are they come in and they come out. They come in and they come out. Guys, I've been doing this since 2015. My group has been meeting on this very same conference board since 2015, I think, 16. It's been a while. And you know what? We've never gone off the air, and we've always kept things nice and private and quiet. When things, yes, Lisa, I do have a driver's license because I have an occupational job, and sometimes I drive for Uber. And because I need to have a driver's license for Uber, just as if I go get a job working in a warehouse and I'm a forklift driver, they have a forklift license you can get for those guys too. So, but what I do use, well, let me just tell you, when you do this process properly, you don't get pulled over anymore. Okay? When you're living in the private, here's how you know. Nobody sees you anymore. Y'all saw me just disappear, right? Mm-hmm. That's when you know somebody's in the private. When they just disappear like that and they're gone, G-O-N-E, and you don't know where they went, and you can't figure it out, and then they can pop back up again and everything's good. That's somebody that's got it under control. And you know what? Get behind that. That's what I did. I found somebody like that and I got behind it. Okay. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's necessary in this walk. There's too many pitfalls. There's too many people out there, not just trying to take your money, but there's people out there trying to test their theories out on you to see if you're going to get thrown in jail or not. You know, 5 years ago, Bruce Doucette was sentenced to some ungodly amount of time in Colorado prison. And you know what? He's one of Anna Von Wright's people. He is. And I remember all those people, they came into my life too, and they're a bunch of idiots. And they did. They all wanted everybody to be marshals and get little badges and this and this and this. And so we can be bigger cops than the other cops. You're stupid. I don't want to be a cop at all. No thanks, man. It's not my gig. It's not. It's not. So I'm going to tell you, there's a proper way to do things. There's a proper way to have yourself out there, and you can still have your driver's license. You can still have your straw man. You can still have all these things, but you've got to get yourself into a working position. You've got to start running your life like a business. And when you start running your life like a business, then all the 1099 stuff that these idiots are talking about that they have no idea, don't listen to them. Okay. Look, if you can't explain it to your tax professional, you're doing something wrong. Okay. Truth and point. You can put me in front of any tax professional, and I can explain to them how I do my taxes and how I want them done, and they will completely understand what I'm talking about. That's when you know you've got good cohesion. See, that's when you know you've got good information. Okay. Guys, this going out and buying stuff with 1099s, I spent 23 years in the car business. I was a finance director. And I assure you, if this was a process that had ever been done, your boy right here would have seen it. I promise you. I've never seen it. Now, are the 1041Vs voucher forms, are they in the finance office? Yes, they are. They are in there. But they're not done for what you, it's just not what you think it is, man. And those of you guys that are interested in finding out what all this stuff is, you know what? Just stay tuned. Send me a message if you're interested in taking the travel class. I don't know when we're going to do it, probably November or something. But if you're interested in taking the class or getting on the list to take the class, send me a message through Messenger here. And those of you guys out there, just hit me up on Facebook, TikTok, whatever. You guys can find me. Another thing I want you guys to do too is, check out our YouTube page. Got some good stuff on there. You guys want to see what Tim Dameron's all about? You want to see all this? You want to see the court battles, the fights with the judges, the good old fashioned spankings right there on camera. You want to watch Tim Dameron do his business? Go on there and go watch. Go check it out. Yes, you could help. Yes, this would help somebody that has a suspended license. Yes, you could do this process and even have a suspended license, and you actually could still use your vehicle as long as we fix the designation. That's got to be the real kicker. And that takes a little bit of work to do, but it can be done. And it doesn't matter what state you're in; it varies on state for state. Any other questions? I'm gonna just open this up for questions, comments. Anybody got any questions, comments? I know we've got some new callers out there. Those of you guys on the Uber conference board, just press 9. Is it? I think it's *9 to unmute. #9, or no, it's 99. Just press 99 and you'll unmute. If you guys have any questions at all, I am here. I can answer them for you, hopefully. If I can't answer them, then, we'll try to get the answer for you. I promise. Anyway, what's up? Let's see. That's good. Well, those of you guys that are interested in taking the class, take it as couples. Split the cost. How much is it? It's going to be a 2-day class. First day, we're going to go through all the paperwork and stuff. Second day is all law. And one of the things we're going to be covering this time in the travel class that I've never done before is this risk management. We're going to be talking about how to enforce all the fee schedules, Houston County, Texas. And you want to see my fruits? Google my name. Google my name, man. You know what? For years, these people have put this crap all over my, behind me. Oh, Tim Dameron's been to the United States Supreme Court. That's right. I've been to the United States Supreme Court of Appeals. And you can Google my name and find it. Okay. Not have to just take my word for it like you do with David. The name of the book, Police Liability and Risk Management. It's by Dr. Robert Girard. Gerard. Here, I'll just put it up here on the screen. Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of that guy. Really good book. And so if you guys have any, Mike, go ahead, buddy. I see you unmuted there. What's up? Good to have you on the call, by the way. Hope you guys got that. All right. I guess Mike is driving. Mike is usually driving when he jumps on the call. So anyway, I'll mute you back. Oh no, it's star to unmute. That's what it is. Star
yeah, I was just going to tell you that. Star.
I felt it. I felt it come over the thing, Kurt. I was like, it's star to unmute. Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate you, buddy.
Hey, you're welcome. I was just going to say, I don't have a question so much, but I thought it was funny because I had a friend post something about Anna Bananas the other day, as I call her. And I still have to find where it is, but it was enough for me right off the bat to know what she was about. And I'm not sure what everybody's level of awareness is out there, but she announced herself as having worked for His Holiness the Pope. And that was enough. That was enough for me.
Wow.
That's all I needed. So, but yeah, I just thought I'd drop that on everybody so people can take that for what it is.
That's true. That's a good point. And I also too, everybody's talking about all this momentum with Trump and this and that. Look, man. Remember who signed in the whole, the V thing? Remember who signed in all that warp speed thing? That was your boy. Yeah, that was your boy that signed it and left that bag of bones up there to deal with all the costs. Kind of like what Obama did to him. It was kind of like a payback, I think. I don't know. But just recognize that. Recognize that, we're going to have a change. We're having some changes, man. This is all happening. Everything I said that was going to happen in 2015, it's happening right now. I said all this was going to happen. Matter of fact, I even bought an electric car because I knew this was going to happen. Thank Yahweh that I did, because he did. But you guys, in closing, I'm going to go ahead and close things up since we don't have any, since everybody is satisfied, no input. I was hoping to have some input for some of you guys out there, some questions, because there is a right way to do this stuff. Okay, it can be done. Okay, I'm not telling you it can't be done. I'm just telling you there's a lot of people out there that thinks it can be done, and there's people that will have an idea and it sounds reasonable and it just might get done that way. But talk to somebody that's done it. Okay, talk to somebody that's got their paperwork filed. Talk to somebody that's had it done, and nobody's hauling them off to jail. Nobody's hauling off any of my students to jail either. James Freeman is one of my students. Those of you guys that watch his channel. Yeah. And see, and I coined the phrase of calling all these cops sovereign citizens because they are, every one of them. And James Freeman just took it and ran with it. I'm telling you what, though, man, and he does it perfectly. So you know what? Glad he's running with the ball. He's a very fast target. And he's hard to shoot. And can I tell you this, you guys? Also, I'm sorry, Lancaster, South Carolina. Go ahead, brother or sister.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Good.
And thank you for having this call going on. My question is oh my God, I've been listening to all the same stuff you've been listening to about all these different people saying they could help you discharge debt or discharge collections agencies and all this other stuff. Is all that real or is it all fake?
So when you're talking about discharging the debt, okay, and that's a really great question. So do you remember earlier I said that I'm going to mute you and I'll just leave. I'm going to unmute you. Let me just leave you there so we can keep the dialogue open here. So earlier I said that you have to, in order to do this thing properly, you have to start running your life like a business, okay? And when you open up a business, what do? You get a DBA, right? And then you go get an EIN, right? Because you're doing business, right? And then you give notice that you're doing business, right? And then, because even your private, and that goes into another market, but even your 508(c)(3)s, those private organizations, they even have DBAs filed, okay? Because they have to give notice. An example of giving notice, you can get away with anything if you give notice. Look what they did with COVID. And it was just notice. All they did was put it on the thing and everybody went nuts and started suffocating themselves. It was ridiculous. So yes, you can do these 1099 processes, but here is how it's done, okay? You have to assess it after the fact. You can't go in and do something and initiate it, but you can assess it after you've done it. So like if you bought a car, you could send a 1099-A prospectively to the dealership. Why? Well, because there was a contract, a truth in lending contract that was there, that was put down, and there's an amount that's on that truth in lending contract. And I'll tell you if you take my travel classes. I don't want to give it all away, but I do want to tell you that you could send them a 1099-A for just the truth in lending contract that you got from them, from the dealership, and you could do another 1099-A to the bank after you've made all your payments from the discharge from the dealership. So how this is all supposed to work is one big circle. Like everybody's chewing on everybody's tail, you see? And then that way the money starts at first base and then it ends up at home plate. Notice that every time you do your taxes, you take your employer's whatever he did, and then when it's all said and done, the money goes in and then it goes out. So if you paid money for uniforms, that's taken out. If you got divorced, that's taken out. If you had legal fees, that's taken out. And then if you have your earned income tax stuff, then that's all added back in, and that's all plus again, you see? So you just can't do these real complicated tax returns under your EIN or under your social security number because it's not designed for that. It's not designed to be a transmitting utility. It's designed to be a slave, really. So what you have to do is control that part of your life, and you compartmentalize that part of your life like the IRS does. And then you start reaping those things. But yes, it absolutely can be done. Just not like how they're telling you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. And we'll have, join us every Monday night, man. We have these calls every Monday night. And I will answer questions about anything as long as I know the answer. I will help you. I do teach this stuff, but I do it privately. You're never going to hear me talk about it too much publicly because it's just not. The travel class is something that we kind of do annually. If you guys want to learn, or you want to take a class on this stuff, send me an instant message, man. We'll book an appointment, and I will talk with you, see what your situation is, seeing what you're trying to overcome, and then what we can do is we can make that situation kind of fit your situation. The problem I think you have with a lot of these teachers is that they think that everybody's got this generic cracker box situation, and all you need is a template and it just adds right in. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not how things work. That's not how it happens, and it's not going to happen. These people that are doing this way, they may figure this out, but they may go to prison too. They may get a $5,000 frivolous filing fee. It could happen. So hold on a second. I was born in an army hospital in Nuremberg, Germany, and acquired U.S. citizenship upon forced registration of my birth certificate a few months. Okay, so what? It's look, Mary. One of the things you have to understand, and I'm sorry that these people did this. Yes, they forced you into all this, and all this stuff happened. And here's why they did. It's because we don't have any money. There's no money here. So what happens is, in order for our junk economy to work here properly, is that it's all based on a pledging basis. So when they say you're worth your weight in gold, you're absolutely worth your weight in gold, because that's how your value is set up. That's right off the bat. So when you've heard that term, you're worth your weight in gold, you literally are. And that's how those things. That's why if there's ever an overweight baby or a very heavy baby, it makes news like worldwide. Well, it's not for you; it's for them. Oh, we can go to casino again. Look, it happened. So what you have is you have a security, okay? And like I was saying earlier, what you need to learn how to do is manage it. Because once you learn how to manage it, you're going to find that's a pretty valuable resource, especially in a place that operates under debt. We don't have any money. We don't have any real money to do any real transactions. So what we do is we learn how they do it. So you can either be the guy in the field picking the strawberries, or you can be the guy with the clipboard watching them pick the strawberries. It's up to you, man, ladies, all of you. And I encourage you guys, test everything. Test these guys, man. Learn who they are. And if you're going to get in a group with people, don't get in a group with a bunch of green peas that don't know anything, we're just trying to figure it out together. And then they'll tell you, oh, well, there's more than one way to do it. Well, how come you don't know any of the ways to do it then? Because they don't. Look, excuses will only get you failure. Okay? You will never have substance from excuses. I'm Tim Damron. I don't have any excuses. I own every one of my mistakes. And I will own every one of my victories. And I've had many. And I'm going to tell you, this is not an easy walk. It's not an easy place to stand. But if you want to learn the process and you want to figure it out, insulate yourself with people that are quality people. Okay, we got lots of people on here, not just me. Brian Parker, he's a freaking giant. I mean, he is. Tom Lee, I've known him for years. Phenomenal guy. Mike Romas, and he's gotten all kinds of stuff done. Chad Cater, he's usually on the call. That guy's, man, you guys want to learn more about debt and discharge and all that stuff. I have a debt class. You want to learn you want to fix your credit and all that? I'm certified to do it. It's up there on the wall. So is my wife. We both are. Yeah. So you guys want to learn how to do this stuff? This is what we do at the House of Yah Community Outreach. This is what we do. This is how we serve the public. It's going to cost you a little bit. Yeah. So what? But you know what? Those monies get transferred and they get to help other people. We just had to bury, unfortunately, we had a young lady, a friend of mine that was buried on the 30th, just the other day. And, they didn't have any money to bury her. She's 49 years old and they didn't have it. But you know what? The House of Yah Community Outreach put it out there, and all of you guys and us and our other partners, we raised $2,000 for those people so they could have a decent burial. Decent, not a real fancy one, but we got all the costs paid and we got everything done. And that's what we do here at the House of Yah Community Outreach. So any of your support, any of your funds that go in, that's how we do things. I'm not going to ask for any donations tonight because there's no reason to. But if you guys are interested in taking a class and actually getting something for that donation, I'm your guy. We just don't do anything publicly anymore. It's all private now. We're just not going to, I don't think we're going to do any more public classes anymore. But if you guys are interested in learning that, putting this walk into perspective, learning to do it right, not to go to jail, not to come across, you don't need to be in any of these groups that are aggressive and wanting to hurt people and stuff like that. You need to be in a place of peace, non-combatant people, real non-combatant people, not people that say that they're non-combatant, but then they go into courtrooms and talk trash to people. That's stupid. Tim Dameron doesn't even go to courtrooms. And take my classes and I'll show you how all that's done. I hope you guys have had a wonderful evening. We're going to be back next Monday night, 6 p.m. Central Time. We're going to continue to go through this book, this risk management book and police liability. So those of you guys that are, you've got tort claims, you've got cases, administrative cases going on right now. This is definitely something you want to get in on. Welcome to the call, Midland. You kind of jumped in on the end here, brother. We're about to shut it down. But anyway, next week we'll be back. Don't worry. I'm going to be uploading this onto our page tonight. So those of you guys that are on the Uber conference call, just look us up on Uber or on Living Life Without Contracts. Living Life Without Contracts. That's on our YouTube channel. Those of you guys on TikTok, I don't post too much stuff on there other than just whatever's going on. But those of you guys on Facebook, this is all going to be live on Facebook. So you guys can go back and check it out. Midland, I'm sorry, brother. Sorry, or sister. I'm sorry we missed you tonight. But I do want to thank everybody else and also you as well for being here tonight. Thank you for all your wonderful questions. And I'm glad that I can help, really, because that's what we're here to do. This is not an ego contest, nothing like that. We just want to make sure you guys are getting good information and that you and your families are safe. That's the most important thing. May Yahweh bless you all. Have a wonderful week. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, for this Shabbat. And good night, everyone.